Brian Blomerth. Welcome to
Bloomer.
Blomerth?
Bloomer. I like
Bloomerth.
Bloom and Earth. Yeah.
I
It's
knew
it's
it.
it's easier than Blommer. Nobody
I
wants to
knew
believe it's
it.
easier than Blommer.
I knew it. Bloomerth. Well, Brian Bloomerth, thank you so much for joining us on Eric's Psychedelic Breakfast.
Thank you for having me, Eric.
Man, one thing that we usually like to do on the show sometimes to start, kind of break the ice, is ask you, what did you have for breakfast today?
And today I had an egg and cheese sandwich with Marmite because we just got a bigger thing of Marmite. Do you know Marmite?
No.
Marmite's like this. They use it in Australia a lot. It's like a brewer's yeast kind of deal. It's like this black sticky tar that's really
Hmm.
salty and yeasty. It's like leftover stuff from like making beer or whatever. And you put it on eggs, and it's super sticky, and it's kind of rare and hard to find. And my parents love it. My dad loves it so much. He got the grocery store by him to carry it. And last time I was at my parents' house, he had 8 little containers of it in one of the cabinets. And I was like, Dad, why do you have like containers of this? And he was like, because they multiply in the dark. But
Is it
yes,
is it kind of like Vegemite?
it's exactly like Vegemite.
Ah,
Yeah.
man. I've never tried it with eggs.
Oh, eggs is where it's supposed to go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's really
Gotcha.
good on eggs. So he has egg, cheese, and Marmite because we just got another container of Marmite, and my wife loves it too now, which I was shocked by. I thought she was going to be disgusted by this, but she actually likes it. So we got a new thing of that, and that was really good. That was a good breakfast. What did you have?
Nice. Man, honestly, I kind of had a big dinner last night, so I just had a banana and some
Damn,
coffee. And I had like some snacks here and there, man.
banana and coffee is a solid breakfast. That's a really
Yeah,
pro. You're ready to go. You're not like I'm bogged down by the eggs, but you're like you're
yeah.
free and loose, and you're not like tied down. You're
Yeah,
not tied down by brewer's yeast.
yeah. We'll see what I have what I have later. Um yeah, Eric's Psychedelic Breakfast is a a Pink Floyd reference, man. Are you a big Pink Floyd fan?
I knew it was Pink Floyd, yeah, but it's not Eric though, right? That's the
No, it's
cover where. Oh, go
it's
ahead,
it's Alan.
Alan. That's right. That's
Alan's
right. That's right.
Psychedelic Breakfast.
Because it's got there's the cover, the one where it's like the guy who it's like the 16th century painter always has the trees that become faces. Is that one?
No, it's the
Or is
one
that
with the
another Pink Floyd one?
cows. It's the one with the
The one
cows.
with the cows. Okay.
Adam Hart Mother. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the Pink Floyd discography as much as I should.
No, that's cool. Dude, I saw your recent work, your collaboration with Goose, in that album cover that you did.
Oh yeah, that actually came out really good. I actually have a copy of it I could show you.
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
actually I'm very happy with how the layout of this came out.
Yeah,
Hold on real fast.
go for it.
So this is rare because usually I have an idea and nobody cares, and I don't ever actually get to do it. Or I do this a lot where I get to do every part of it.
Right.
But this time they like wanted like a gatefold thing, and I was like, well, all right. So we have this insane drawing on the front, which is tons and tons of stuff. I think there's like 500 characters in total, and then this
Whoa.
insane on the back. It's like just as intense.
Whoa.
And I did this like not double, like 18 by 18 inches, so it's really big in real life, and takes forever to do these like big crowd scenes. But
Hmm.
because the album's called Everything Must Go, I was like, all right, what we should do is when you open it up, you have
Oh,
you have the inside, the field at night, and everybody's gone, right? Like that's the front cover field right there. And then
right.
it ends at this cliff side, and then here it continues from the back onto this side. There's more characters approaching this cliff, right? But then when you open it up again, everybody's gone. And it's
Whoa.
the front, the back, and empty, and then the cliff side is empty too.
Oh, wow.
So then you really got everything must go. And that took a little bit of
Nice.
work because it turns out I did it backwards at first. Like I thought the front I don't know. I just did it wrong where the cliff was on the wrong side at first, and that was so frustrating. But it worked out great, and I think it came out really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
It
me
took
too. I saw it at a local record store here in Austin. That's where I'm at, and it just stood out, man. It stood out. I automatically recognized it with all of your other art, and I was like, this is so sick.
It's cool. I was actually just in Austin. I did this
Oh,
comics thing staple. Have you ever heard of that?
no.
It was at St. Edward's University.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I had fun. It was cool. I did like a little talk. I went to the botanical gardens there.
Ooh.
Whoa. So Pedro and I don't remember the girl's name, but they were amazing. Oh man, it's really gonna bother me. It's not Maria. Oh shoot, because I don't really know them. I just met them at the thing or whatever, and they worked at the botanical gardens, and they let me like go. They like gave me a tour or whatever, and then we went to the succulent spot, and it was phenomenal. I really love the Japanese garden at that botanical gardens. It's I think it might be the best Japanese garden I've ever been to because
Oh,
you get to
wow.
walk into the koi pond. Have you ever been there?
I haven't.
Oh my god, you got to go.
Yeah.
So they have rocks, and you can walk into the koi pond, and the koi's are the fattest, happiest koi's I've ever seen.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's sick. Yeah, I'm kind of new to Austin. And you're up in Brooklyn, right?
yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, I guess I kind of want to mention like your books. I kind of have all of them right here. I have the
That's tight.
These are so sick, man.
Thank
Bicycle
you.
Day, Lily Wave, and Mycelium Wasoni?
Yeah, yeah. Wasona is how I think you pronounce it. I don't really actually. Nobody has given me a hard time about how I pronounce her last name, like the Wassons. So
Right,
I
right.
thought it was Wasona, and I believe that's right, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Wait, I just remembered also did the ACL poster recently talking about Austin.
It did, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for the fest that's happening at Zilker Park. Yeah, I need to go.
Yeah.
Where is everybody seeing that at? Because I'm confused on how people have like been like, "Oh wow, I saw you did this poster," but I don't know where they saw it.
I, 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 ACL Instagram, I think, posted it.
Oh, okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they did that. So there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, man, it's so sick. It's I mean the festival is really cool. Um the lineup is insane this next year. A lot of really cool artists are going.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that much about it except for the poster they had me too.
That was sick. W one question I would like to ask you, man, is you studied painting in Virginia.
Yeah.
And so how did you kind of like decide to go that route, you know, to study painting, I should say.
Oh, wow. VCU does this thing where like if you go to like art school or whatever, you have like a first year where you like you try to figure out what major you'd want to be or whatever.
Hmm.
So like I don't know, after my first year I thought that I was gonna be more interested in like painting and printmaking or whatever. And I was doing like more paintings at the time. But then, like as college went on, I realized that I would like rather be drawing. Like drawing was like the number one thing I like to do. So like, yeah, when I was done with college, it was basically like I have this degree that doesn't really mean that much. I mean, it's painting and printmaking too. So like, I made silk screens and stuff when I was in college, and like big paintings and stunk or whatever. And then when I got out of college, I don't know. I was like, I would like to try cartooning. So I made one comic and then like another comic and throughout like when I was in college I'd get hired by bands to do work for bands, like do posters or shirts and stuff like that. Like drawings for them. So like, that kind of continued in that same way too. So
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't ever paint. I have a big canvas over here that I would
Hmm.
like to paint on, and me and my wife did like a funny like bootleg looking painting. And I wanted to make it look like we bought a painting. Like it wasn't like me that did it. So, and she
Nice.
was curious on how you like, did like those like old like, constructivist kind of paintings, with like all the shapes. So we did one for our living room.
Nice.
So that was the most recent painting I've done, but it's definitely not something I'd be like, oh yeah, this rules is a Brian painting. It's just like it's a weird thing to make it look like we bought a painting because I didn't want to spend like several $1,000s. It's like
Man.
I can just make one.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I love like art like yours and like Alex Gray or like when you go to all these concerts like King Gizzard, not Jason Momoa, Jason Galea.
Jason Momoa is the
Excuse
shit.
me.
No, that guy's fucking great.
Yeah, I know, man. And the posters are so sick. And I have kind of a wall in my apartment that has a light bulb that's like changing colors pointing at it. And we have like a bunch of different really cool artwork. And we call it a museum. And I kind of want to like print out a quote from like an album or the festival that we got it at and put it underneath or something, you know? And like the date it was created, like
Oh yeah, that'd be
the
nice. Those little placards like they have at real
yeah,
museums.
yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
That'd be
Well,
very funny. Yeah, the
yeah,
band posters are cool. It's really
right.
nice. It's fun to do. I like to do them like actual size, like the big.
Right.
Like I don't think I have. This isn't like the official pile next to me, but I might have something. Let's see. Nah, I got nothing that great over here. But yeah, I try to do them like real big, like that kind of size,
Oh
like
yeah,
actual
nice.
poster size.
Nice. So it doesn't warp or change.
Yeah, I
Stretch it
just
out.
I like drawing like big too.
Hmm.
Drawing big is my favorite.
Right. Right. Man, well, I don't even know where to start with these books, man. Uh I love Bicycle Day. Um I love the forewords that you have in each book. That was so cool. How did you how did you feel when you like got those and how was that interactions with whether it was Dennis McKenna or
Oh, so my buddy
Rick
Mark
Doblin?
actually did that, and Mark, it was like
Oh,
the editor of
cool.
these books. Like he did all the spelling mistakes and stuff. Mark is the man, and Mark wrote everybody, and pretty much I got like my number one draft pick for every book, which like that was
Right.
unexpected for sure. That was completely shocking. So I got very, 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 very lucky. And I mean, I think like Dennis McKenna saying yes made Paul Stamets be like, okay, sure. And then probably these two together made Doblin go like, okay, I don't want to speak for them. I don't know why they said yes, but like I am
Right.
very, very happy that they did.
Right.
Like that was really dope.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I kind of want to jump into some questions of Bicycle Day.
Yeah, hit me.
One question that I have is why are Hoffman's shoes like that?
Oh, well, I wanted him to have something that like was kind of unexplainable.
Hmm.
On the back of Mars Hotel, that Grateful Dead cover, they're like all like they're supposed to be like members of the band, but they're all like kind of like in like weird costumes or like spacesuits. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
Grateful Dead Mars Hotel. So one of the characters has shoes that look sort of like this, but I just thought it would be interesting to have him like with like something like beyond weird that never was explained. It didn't make any
Hmm.
sense. So that's kind of why I chose those like shoes for him. Also, I mean, I would like those shoes. I don't know why those shoes don't exist.
True.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I did that. But to be fair, I don't know exactly why. That's my
Yeah.
guess. And I didn't do that in any other books. For some reason, I only did that to Hoffman.
Yeah. No, I like it, man. I like it. Um, I think the next page, or not the next page, um, I think it's so interesting that you drew the process for synthesizing acid or making it in two different ways, right? One crystallized and the other one is
Yeah,
not.
I mean, so the rub is there is apparently due to a real chemist. That's entirely wrong. I think I talked about this in the back matter. It's wrong, but it's close, and that's pretty
Gotcha.
fucking dope for me because it's really, really, really complicated. I use this guy. I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, Uncle Lester. He has a PDF you can get online. It was like a zine first, and then they scanned it and put it online. It's called Uncle Fester's Guide to Practical LSD Manufacture. And so I use that as like a template because he's got a chapter in there called the Hoffman method. And that and in LSD, My Problem Child, he like talks a lot about it. But
Mm.
what's crazy about it is it's like in my limited understanding, it uses let's see if your people can see this. It's this thing called column chromatography or whatever, where it's actually light that separates some of the parts.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like hitting these things with ultraviolet light is what causes some of the separation. Now,
Mm.
exactly, it's been several years since I made this book, and exactly what separates from what, I cannot tell you off the top of my head because A, I'm not a chemist, and B, I have no clue.
Right.
But when I was doing the research and probably in my notes, I probably have at least my limited understanding of what it is. I mean, I have benzene and chloroform here, but I don't know what part of the Yeah, now I have no clue how any of this works. But at the time, I really made an effort to get like
Yeah.
somewhere on that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I can totally relate. I mean, I went into college. I studied at UT Dallas and I went into neuroscience because I wanted to just that kind of like go into research or something with psychedelics. And obviously the curriculum was full of chemistry, biology, anatomy, and man, it was so it was so complicated. It was I yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to have like a certain mind to be like completely dedicated to like figuring that out and be like completely absorbed.
Hmm.
And that's not like really what my skill set is.
It I
I
got
do feel
yeah.
that way about drawing, but not like not chemistry.
Right.
Like figuring out
Yeah.
how drawings work, like that I can talk all day about.
Right.
And that's more like that's more up my
Yeah.
wheelhouse. But chemistry, nah, I got no clue.
Yeah.
But
But you
nobody's buying these books for that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, man, that's a good point. That's a good point. But I think it is cool that, I mean, at least some of my chemistry classes paid off now, just being able to
That's
interpret
good.
it.
So yeah, did you recognize any of the because yeah, I had to figure out like what all the different like chemistry tools were and what they looked like because I was trying not to like make stuff up. So
Yeah.
hopefully you got to see some of the stuff again.
Yeah, yeah,
But
man,
it's
that's
it's funny too, like this kind of hose wouldn't have existed then. I don't think that they would have like
right.
that's like a much later hose, I think. So yeah, there's
Hmm.
certain things where I just wasn't thinking correctly. And I don't know why you'd have a hose like that. That looks like a way
Yeah.
more like 60s, 70s hose. Because it's
Yeah.
also hard to find like you would have to find chemistry. I was looking at chemistry equipment, but then also like chemistry equipment by year. That got complicated. Like what kind of what would chemistry equipment look like per year? Yeah, that hose
Yeah.
is off as hell. But I don't
Yeah.
know. This other stuff might look closer.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It also makes me think about like how other cultures might have used um, plant-based medicines that we don't understand, because we just don't even know the technology they had or whatever.
Well, that is what the second book is about.
Oh,
You know, because like the Mazateks used mushrooms for like
right.
all sorts of like ailments or problems or like worries like being worried about a family member that was far away, like those kind of things, or like an illness that you just can't
Mm,
shake, like a lot of things like that you would hire like you would hire like a wise woman to help you out, and then she would
Right.
come in and she would do like
Hmm.
they had this whole grab bag where it's kind of Catholic. It's like in between Catholic and like the indigenous folk religion. It's like this mix where there's like saints. I have a book of somebody who like recorded like Maria doing the ceremony, and then they translated it as like a poetry book,
Right. Yeah.
because Folkways Records did like a recording of the thing. And also, it's crazy. I don't know if I really talk about this in the book. Somehow, this hit my brain again recently. I don't remember why, but the Mazatec language is tonal as well as
Right.
like a regular, like not regular, but like a language that we speak, where it's like like the little mouth sounds all mean stuff. It's like the inflection of the letters is the same as the like, let's say if we were talking like a chromatic pitch, like that's the way their language is. It's like every letter is its own pitch as well as a letter, like L, and then L would also be a ooh, like that. So you can whistle the language, and you can
Hmm.
whistle the language across like vast distances.
Wow. Makes me think
Oh wow.
of birds, you know,
It is kind of like birds,
like
but
birds.
and the Mazatecs, to similar to like with the mushroom stuff, the Mazatecs weren't like forthcoming with that with like missionaries or whatever. So it took like this other like anthropologist being there and living among them to
Right.
like figure out that their language that could be whistled as well,
Mhm.
because he'd hired this girl to like sweep his house, and this other guy was doing some other work around the zone, and he was whistling at her, whistling this whole like speech to her, and the women don't do the whistling, but they can understand it. So like she eventually like turned around and like slapped him with the broom and was like whacking him with the broom out the thing. And then he asked her later like what the problem was, and she said that he said something to her, but he didn't see anybody saying anything. He just saw the whistling and then realized that like the whistling also worked as like speech. But they didn't
Hmm.
tell him that. They refused to tell him. They're like really like not
Yeah.
forthcoming. Just like with the mushroom stuff, they weren't forthcoming until like Watson just like showed up enough. He just
Hmm.
kept showing up. And the first time, like they took him and nothing happened, and then the second time they took them with Maria, that's when they realized that it actually worked.
Hmm. Right. And then um they brought back a bunch of people
Yeah,
and
well, they got it published in like it, so they weren't supposed to
right.
tell anybody about it. And
Right.
then Wasson was a member of this club, right? I can't remember what the club is called. It's like a key club in New York City.
Hmm.
Um, and so was an editor at Life magazine. So he saw him at the club and was like, "Hey, I got a story
Right.
for you."
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Oh, that sounds great." So then he published the story in Life magazine, and that's what led a bunch of people to go down there.
Right. Which led the mushrooms to have a weird relationship with the wise woman, Maria, right?
According to her, yeah. I mean, she said the mushrooms no longer spoke to her. So, but I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, they stopped speaking to her. That's right. I don't know. It's
Right.
it's been a while since I did like the like actual like I read all the books again. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's been a minute. It's
Yeah.
like getting quizzed on all the stuff. Like I have to do so much research for all these books, and then it's like I get quizzed on it
Yeah.
like years later.
Yeah. No, that's so sick, man. It's just kind of like you just put so much art out there, you know? That's
But yeah, but then there's been a whole book in between, second book and now. So that's why it's like
right,
trying to
yeah.
remember all the details.
Yes, and I'm sure you're also working on maybe some other projects, like
Yeah, I mean, I'm drawing
books.
every day. So
Nice.
yeah, for sure.
Nice. Are there any like subjects that you're curious about right now or people that you're, you
Well,
know,
I want to do a fourth book on the Shulgins and then be off of drugs. But I think it would be fun for me. I want to do like a more goofy kind of like comic in between, like not like book length, like smaller and thinner, but like
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to do one more of these books if I can, for sure, because I think that would look really
Yes.
nice to have one more here.
Right.
And the Shulgins, if I can do the Shulgins, it would be nice too, because then I would have Alice. I would have all the drugs like kind of up for like re-review for like therapeutic uses. You know, like we have
Hmm.
LSD, we have psilocybin, we have ketamine, and then we would have MDMA.
Right.
So we'd have all four of the ones people are really talking about for like research. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that is so sick, man. I also agree that art is such a like good communicator for books and messages, like the Egyptians thought that too, I guess. You know?
Yeah, I
Oh,
guess. I mean, I thought I didn't know if they were really like. I guess they did have a library. Yeah, all right. Yeah, the Library of Alexandria. But
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I like making books. Books are fun. Except they do take forever. They're extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
It takes a lot out of me.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to read because like you're saying like I feel like it's open for a lot of interpretation, like
Well, here's the rub is I do want to cram the research way that I do is I read everything that I can and like I take like really detailed notes. And as I'm taking notes, like I'm thinking of like, like everything that I find interesting, I take out and I highlight or, I like write it down, rewrite it down somewhere else. And so then when I'm like doing like the books, I'm just constantly like going back to the notes and like looking at it because the idea is to make these as simple as possible. Like these are supposed to be as simple and as bare bones and just tell the basics, right? Like just give you the basic facts.
hmm
But if you know their biographies, there's like tons of stuff hidden in there,
Oh,
like about them or like references to like their books that you would only know if you like knew a lot about them. Like for
right.
instance, let me just show you. So Valentina Wasson, she wrote a book about adoption actually before they got interested in. Well, they were already interested in mushrooms, but before they wrote their mushroom book, Mushrooms, Russia, and History, that's like their big 2 volume thing. That like mainly this book is based off of that. Like
Oh, right.
their first book is the only book they wrote together. And even though I did read all of Gordon Wasson's books, I prefer the Mushrooms Russian History book because I think it is the funnest and the weirdest and my favorite one. So before she did that book, she did a book about adoption actually, and I put the cover of the book about adoption right here. That's the cover of her book about adoption.
Oh,
Now,
cool.
Art Gordon worked for J.P. Morgan. There's the portrait of J.P. Morgan in the
Mm,
thing. He was a vice president of public relations at J.P. Morgan. So that's the famous portrait of J.P. Morgan, again as a dog. But
right.
yeah, he also wrote a book about J.P. Morgan before. So it's his first book before he wrote the Mushrooms book, and her first book before she wrote the Mushrooms book, side by side.
Oh,
Isn't that
cool.
funny? So they were
Yeah.
both interested in making books before. And what's funny about that is because of their like first 2 books experiences, they kind of realized that like what they actually wanted out of books is to be like, to have books that were in the research department of the library. Like they
hmm
ended up like loving the research department of the library so much, which at
Right.
the New York Public Library at the main branch is called the Rose Room, which hilariously I drew the Rose Room in here. So
Uh,
they wanted their books to be like that level, and they wanted like the print. So they wanted the printing and everything to be like really nice and super phenomenal.
did this
Because I
one?
think for Mushrooms Russian History, and that's why it's like rare and kind of hard to get the book. You can find PDFs of it, thank God. But like it really is a bit more of a rare book because they really like did a great job like creating it.
Is it this one?
Um, Yes, that's it right there. There you go. Yeah,
Nice.
that's the Rose Room. And that one
Nice.
was really, really annoying to draw those damn bugs.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it because it was um it was very unexpected. Like she's first trying to find books and then you flip to that page and it's like a whole page with no words. that was kind of nice, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. This other page coming after it, I had to find the address of this reliable mushroom
Oh
company.
yeah.
And it turns out it is right next to the original location of this mascot's
Mm.
thing. So that's why the mascots got a shout out, is they were neighbors. And it took me, it was
Gotcha.
so hard to find a photo of like the storefront, but it was like a split storefront in half. Now it's like a pita pit or some shit.
Yeah.
I walked by there the other day and went, oh yeah, there's that building. It took me
Nice.
it was really hard to find the address of this mushroom company because they talk about this mushroom company guy as like he like imported dried mushrooms for like soups and cooking and baking and
Oh
pickling.
right. Yeah.
They shouted him out a lot in their book, and it
Mm.
was impossible to find the address of this store. So the way I finally found it was I found like a court document where he got hit by a car and had to live in the back of his store. And in court, they
Oh.
asked him what the address of his store was. So then I
Mm.
found it, and then Googling that, I found that it was right next door to the original mascots, which they took photos of, so you could see it in the corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there
And
you go. See, so there's a lot of like stuff that you just like you're gonna pass by in this book in
yeah.
like a second, but it turns out it like was really difficult and
Hmm.
insane to find out the answers to X, Y, or Z,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the show Midnight Gospel. Have you seen that on Netflix?
I haven't seen it.
It's the animator of Adventure Time and
Oh, okay.
this comedian Duncan Trussell.
Yeah, I know Duncan Trussell for sure. I haven't
Oh
seen the
yeah, of
show.
course. Cool, cool. Yeah. It's good. It's good. It's a really cool art. Also a lot of symbolism, you know. Um and hidden messages like that. Um I kind of would like to talk a little bit about the misophobic cultures, right? And the miso what's the other one? The miso
Yeah, it's mycophilic and misophobic, I believe. Let's see. It says in the book. So let's go to it. And
I
that's another tidbit from Mushrooms Russian history. And Paul Stamets, if you ever watch any of Paul Stamets lectures, he references that a lot.
mm,
He really loves Valentina, and as you should, Valentina rules.
hmm.
And she doesn't get, because our Gordon lived a lot longer. Our Gordon gets a lot of the credit, which I don't think is really due. I mean, I think in if you asked him, he would say Valentina deserves all the credit, and he's passed on too. But in terms of cultural stuff, just because he wrote more books, I think a lot of times people want to credit R. Gordon. But Valentina literally was the one because, like this beginning part, I don't want to ruin the whole book, but the beginning part of this is like all about their honeymoon, and
Right.
that's when she first introduced mushrooms to him, and not like psychedelic mushrooms, like just like some nice morels
Hmm.
or a Borvik, as they talk about, or a sep, or any of these other mushrooms. So let me see. I do have the thing. R. Gordon did, according to him, he kind of came up with this mycophilic, mycophobic thing. But let's make sure that's the right. That's the right. Yeah, mycophilic. I was right on that.
Nice.
It's just been so long since I read
I just
mushrooms.
read this, man, so
Yeah, so you're more.
no
Yeah, I
worries.
haven't. I'm not really reading my own books over and over again,
Yeah.
but and it's been a while since I did the stuff. But yeah, mycophilic, mycophobic, and he claimed English people were mycophobic. And then Russians, of course, mycophilic. In Russians much in history, they have all these amazing tales of like Russian people being somewhere else and like like needing to collect mushrooms, like seeing some good ones, like Lenin being like Lenin, like when he got cast out of Russia, there was a time where he was banished and he lived in Switzerland, and they were waiting for the train, him and his like communist friends, and the train came and he looked over and realized there was like a bunch of edible mushrooms. I think morels, but I'm not sure. Maybe chanterelles. Either way, they like missed the train because they were just collecting chanterelles in their
Mm.
pockets, like they were just stuffing them. They were stuffing their private pockets with these like these foraging mushrooms,
Yeah.
which like the French cook mushrooms a lot, but English don't, and I think some other cultures don't. I don't remember all the cultures that they think that don't have it, but.
Yeah, a lot of them would use it as like a part of a religious ritual as well.
Yeah, that's completely different. That's
Yeah.
they do so psychedelic mushrooms do grow all over the world, and there are like there's Liberty Cap mushrooms, and there were reports of people like like having visions or like tripping, that the Watsons collected in their book, and they actually wanted to go to Finland because they'd heard reports about people in like well actually in Siberia, and like there's these people. I don't remember. There's is it Swami? It might be. It's like the indigenous people, like the very like north of like Scandinavia and Russia. I believe it's called Swami. Maybe Laplanders is what they're called. Don't quote me on this because this is another thing where it's been a while. I think I talk about this in the. I know I have one of the people because they have dresses that the women wear for the thing where they look like a what's the classic red mushroom? Amanita muscaria, right? They
Hmm.
feed Amanita muscaria. This is how the legend goes. They feed Amanita muscaria to reindeer, and then the reindeer urinate, and the urine contains the Amanita muscaria filtered through the reindeer. So they wanted to go to Russia to like observe this happen, and the women of this like certain group they do wear this like white, this like red and white dotted like dress that like mirrors the Amanita muscaria. Do you know what Amanita muscaria look like?
I
Show you a
think
drawing of
so.
one. It's the classic like fairy tale like mushroom.
Oh,
It's
it's
red
it's
with the white spots, right?
it's the Santa Claus mushroom.
100%. And they do
Mm.
they do contain psychoactive properties, but they make you extremely sick. Like I've only heard of one person
Oh.
taking muscaria pills, and there are some medical uses for muscaria pills, but it's not like a very delightful trip I've heard. But yes, here we go. In this page right here, I show one of the women wearing one of these like
Oh,
red and white
right.
dresses,
Yeah.
and they did call apparently, and I might be entirely wrong on this, but I believe in mushrooms Russia in history they call a zookeeper in Finland, and they want they want the zookeeper to feed the reindeer Amanita muscaria mushrooms and then collect the urine and then send it back for analysis. But I don't know if
Yeah.
they got that far.
That was one
So
of my favorite pages.
they couldn't yeah, I had Robert Graves tell them that, but I don't think Robert Graves did. They came up on that on their own, but I wanted to put that factoid in. And Robert Graves and one other author both were like, you should look in Mexico because there's also been reports of intoxicating mushrooms from Mexico. Because it's basically like this was kind of like whispers like throughout like multiple cultures people had talked about like mushrooms making you like see things, and that's part of what mushrooms Russian history is about. It's about like various cultures and their relation to mushrooms. Like I could have and should have, if I the book could be a ton longer, I would go through and do like all the different cultures and their relations to mushrooms as they did in mushrooms Russian history, because it's super fascinating. There's one mushroom that's called like it's named in Iranian. It's called like the erectus of the jackass. It's like the jackass's hard on is what it would be
Nice.
in English parlance.
Yeah.
Because a lot of mushrooms are named like after the penis or candlesticks
Right.
or snot or things
Right.
like that. Or spooky names like like it being a toadstool in English,
Hmm.
and that just being the catch-all for mushrooms as a toadstool is not very appetizing. Meanwhile, in Russia, there's like, names for all the different ones because they have to identify them, and there's a bunch of different ones that they eat.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, we do have English names of them, and I wish there's no way I'm going to be able to find it now, but like for the pages that have like mushroom after mushroom, I used
Hmm.
like a forager's guide from the Catskills. And these I'm very happy with because I drew them as accurately as I could. And there's the English like kind of slang names for them underneath them.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
oh, go ahead.
I
I
was
was
gonna
supposed to.
say, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You can go. You can go.
I was supposed to do it. I was gonna do it where all the poisonous ones were on one, but I think I have some poisonous ones not on that one. I think witch's hat is poisonous. That's
Yeah,
all I was gonna say.
cool. And there's a secret language among the mushrooms here.
There is, yeah, but it's very gross. It is translatable into English, but like as far as you wanting to translate it, I
Really?
don't know if it's worth it. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's up to you. They're like the way I describe the mushroom language is so Terrence McKenna, Dennis McKenna's brother, he called mushrooms like cosmic comedians from the Catskills, you know,
Hmm.
like which also goes to the Wassons, like in honeymeaning in the Catskills. I don't know if you know about the Borscht Belt. You know about
No.
that? So there used to be. Here we go. Used to be all these fucking used to be all these like Jewish like wouldn't call them lounges, but I guess they're kind of lounges. They're like resorts, right? Like the Manhattan like country clubs and a lot of the ones like in Long Island, they wouldn't take Jewish people. So the Jewish people made their own resorts like in the Catskills. And that's called the Borscht Belt. And it's kind of where like a lot of like early comedians like got their start. Like
Hmm.
we're not talking like comedians that you would know. We're talking like vaudeville level, like or you know, like Henry Youngman, you know, like that kind of level of comedy.
Okay.
So Terrence McKenna called mushrooms like cosmic, like little cosmic comedians. And
Hmm.
so I tried to give them like all these like little one-liners and like dad jokes.
Hmm.
Yeah, but also their like language. The other thing that Terrence McKenna says about mushrooms is that they are you know, they're the part of the mushroom that's visible. The real part of the mushroom is the mycelial network underneath the ground, right? But the part of the
Oh.
mushroom that you see, that's the part like prone to like thrill, sex, and sunbathing or whatever. So in the mushroom language, they talk about coming a lot because that's like
Oh.
that would be like a big part of their culture because that's where the mushroom top that you see, that's what expels the spores and makes new mushrooms, you know?
Right.
So like them expelling spores is a big part of their culture.
Hmm.
So yeah, that is revealed only at the very end. So yeah, so it's a lot of that and a lot of gags and a lot of calling the people stupid and knock jokes and various things like that.
And at one point, we have somebody speaking it, right? I think it was, mm, uh, when they eat the
I
mushrooms.
I believe Maria speaks it. Yes.
Right, right, Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, right? That like humans could potentially speak it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like that she speaks to the mushrooms. And you know, it's also
Yeah.
too, you know, so you're supposed to vomit, and if the person doesn't
Hmm.
vomit, like the wise woman will vomit for you. Somebody's got to vomit, so that's
Yeah.
nice. Because I yeah, I like the vomiting aspect.
Yeah.
usually, I usually would throw up, so it's nice that somebody's got to throw up.
Hmm.
It's nice that's part of it, you know.
Have you ever read the book Psychedelic Experience by Timothy Leary and Albert Hoff? No, not Albert Hoffman, excuse me. Richard Alpert Ramdas and
Yeah, but
Ralph Spencer.
it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how they talk about that. But that's I think I don't know if like the instructions work for like all different types of psychedelics, but in a lot of it does include symptoms like that.
Yeah, I think that they were trying to do like a Book of the Dead like kind of book. Do you know about?
Right.
Yeah, you know, like that was their idea. Book of the Dead is like, you know, in Tibetan you have the book is done like flashcards, right? And you read it out. There's like a 3 day process when someone dies. I believe 3 day. I could be entirely wrong. I'm just
Yeah.
going off my like my memory of it. But it's pretty interesting because it's not printed like a book. It's like these flashcards that you go through, and
Hmm.
it's like you pull off card after card after card and go through the thing. And similar to the Mazatec experience, it's like you would have a monk come and do the thing, and the monk would oftentimes have like a younger apprentice that's shadowing him and learning off of him. But like, yeah, the monk would come and do the thing, like pray over the body, give you give you your pieces of barley, because Tibetan culture is all about barley, similar to Mazatec's being all about corn. Huh?
Oh,
Yeah, there are some similarities here. Um, yeah, Tibetan culture is primarily barley based, while Mazatec is primarily corn based.
hmm.
Pretty interesting, kind of interesting. I never thought about the connections there.
Yeah.
Also, both very high up. Tibet, roof of the world. Mazatec's are in the mountains of Mexico, which like I tried to kind of show off with that like cloud sequence in this book where they're going up into the
Yeah.
clouds.
Yeah, those were my favorite pages whenever the mushrooms would be like, where are they? And it'd be like the golden waterfalls and stuff.
Yeah, waterfalls. I drew a couple nice waterfalls. Waterfalls are very fun to draw. Yeah. I don't
You
know.
know,
I just wanted it to be like as I wanted certain parts of it to be like as pretty as possible. In all these books too, there's a trick to all three of these books where every book has its own like visual language game that I hope references the
mm,
substance. If you read
right.
about this in another thing, this is what I talk about in every interview I do. But I mean, just because I'm proud of it,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's not obvious. It probably wouldn't be obvious to most people. So I love to bring it up, and I'll bring it up here. So
Yeah.
Bicycle Day, right? Bicycle Day is printed with neon spot colors, like neon Pantones. And the
Right.
reason we chose neon inks is because neon inks are created in a lab like LSD, and they were
Mm,
invented or first synthesized around the same time. Now, neon does exist in nature, but not neon inks like this. So to get this, you have to do it in a lab just like LSD. So that's why I thought that worked. Now, for the Wassons are amateur mycologists, right? And throughout the beginning parts of like naturalists, to go out and to identify a species, like you couldn't take a photo of like your species, right? So like to identify a species and identify it accurately, you'd have to go out and you'd have to draw it. And typically to get the colors right, you would have to draw it fast, so you'd have to watercolor it. So the early naturalists all
mm.
use watercolors to catalog and identify varying species. Like they'd go around and like pick them out and try to watercolor them as accurately as possible. So
Which
that's
is
why.
which
Oh,
is
go ahead.
perfect for psychedelic experiences, I feel like, you know?
Yeah, that's why I chose like watercolors for this, is because I felt like watercolors used to be made from like natural sources, like
Right.
you know like they're not made in the lab. It's like various shells to make red, or there's a certain type of yellow that was made from like Turner yellows made from elephants that were only fed mangoes in a certain part of
Whoa.
India. So like they come from the natural world, and they felt like they mirrored mushrooms quite well. Now for the third book, ketamine, there's three: ketamine and the isolation tank for me. And I don't
Hmm.
know if this is relatable to everybody, but for me, both ketamine and the isolation tank reminded me of a flashing pattern, right? Like a white and black,
Mm.
like static.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So, and also like the isolation tank and ketamine both are about like being completely
Oh.
trapped in your like vision, like being very, very stuck and very, very expanded. So it's either the cosmos or just like you're like trapped in this little tiny like box, right? So
Hmm.
that's why throughout Lily Wave, it's all like
Gotcha.
either splatter patterns like that, or like these cosmic kind of like starscapes kind of deal. Let me try to find a good cosmic starscape. I mean, there's the dolphins and the earth.
Yeah,
There is,
right.
but yeah, and also the other reason why these cosmic like landscapes are all throughout this book is so Carl Sagan actually was responsible for getting a lot of the early funding for John C. Lilly's like dolphin experiments. John
Mm.
C. Carl Sagan has his airbrush guy. His name's John Lomberg, and he's the man. He makes all these illustrations like of cosmic airbrushes for Carl
Oh,
Sagan.
cool.
And I was like, John C. Lilly deserves his own cosmic airbrush guy. And guess who that's going to be? That's going to be me, Brian Blomerth.
Nice.
So I learned how to do all these like all these cosmic like airbrush kind of things, which
Yeah.
was a lot harder than you would think. Like it really took a lot. I had to make like a whole
Whoa.
airbrush kind of station and learn how to do that.
Yeah.
I'd never done airbrushing before this book, so I like learned how to do that for this.
Yeah, and I love how and I'm trying to see if you did it in the other books because I didn't not sure if I noticed it. But like in a few moments you know how like for example whenever Hoffman is like looking for the through his notes, you know, and the actual book kind of feels like you're holding his notebook and like you're
Yeah, for
thinking his
sure, for
thoughts.
sure. Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of like for these books too, because I'm trying to make them like as simple as possible. There's like things that like I feel like, you know, I wanted it to feel like less like da 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 da, you know, like here's
Hmm.
this beat, here's this next beat, you know. I wanted there to be like things like when he's like trying to figure out like yeah exactly when he's trying to figure out like the next compound to work on. I wanted to show like
Yeah.
all the chemical things. Then
Yeah.
also, you know, like this page is supposed to
Oh
signify
yeah.
this page, and actually I mailed this one to Dennis McKenna for as a thank
Mm.
you for doing the forward.
Oh wow.
So this page is supposed to be, and this is the only time I reference this, is so Hoffman throughout LSD, My Problem Child, like references this like mystical experience he had in the woods as a child that made
Hmm.
him like want to know like what like all matter, what like matter contained, you know? And that's what made him like pursue chemistry as a career. And he like credits this like for kind of like guiding his whole life. And
Hmm.
later, you know, Aldous Huxley wrote this whole book. It's called like The Perennial Philosophy, and it's all
Hmm.
about like people's like mystical experiences and like visions. You know, it just like catalogs like Huxley's favorite like visions like throughout history that he knows of. You know,
Yeah.
um, so Hoffman believed like in that, and this is my reference to that there. So then
Hmm.
afterwards, while he's like thinking and going through his notes, I kind of believe that sometimes like inspiration is kind of like music, but it's like music that doesn't
Yes.
like it's like the notation here is basically like you're supposed to be like you're kind of like in the creation mindset where it's kind of musical, but it's also like a music you don't understand yet because you're trying to
Hmm.
figure out like how all the pieces work. And then once you're past
Yeah.
that, you're in the unknowable part where you're just thinking, then you come back to what's actually real and then maybe have like a new insight on it, aka comes back to this formula.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of how this like 4 page sequence works.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like most biographies, and this is where like comics I think really like is phenomenal as a medium. Like you could do this in animation, I guess, but like
Right.
in comics you really can take your time. It's one on one, like it's just you and the book, and you can spend as little or as long in this section as you want to. And you can think about it as I just did, or think like, oh hey, this is a nice,
Hmm.
okay, well he's just thinking all right cool, and he just decides to go into that, and then boom, done. You know, you can do it, you can spend some time with it, or go as fast as slow as you want, and that's kind of like where comics really shine.
Yeah. That one scene that you showed me of Albert Hoffman in the light reminded me of this guy named Bruce Damer. I don't know if you've heard of him. He just had this theory of when you close your eyes and you see light, just kind of like messing with that. And I also think bringing it back to the psychedelic experience, you know, I think like one of the last goals is to merge with the clear light or something like
Mm.
that.
Well, I haven't heard that. I'll get his name from you after this. I'll have to look into that guy.
Oh
That
yeah,
sounds
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about DMT? Just real quick, like
Great. I got no problems with it. I don't know what you want from me. Yeah, I mean,
Gotcha. Yeah.
uh very yeah, I don't know. Very what's the words? I always see like 16-bit stuff in there. I don't know. It's been a long time for that as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean and there's a lot of interesting stuff. And Terrence McKenna's books on it are phenomenal. And like stuff about like the room is really interesting, and how people always go into the same room. And
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of really interesting
Yeah.
stuff on that. And actually, what's funny about that is one of the guys who first identified that, I believe, or first like kind of suggested that it was out there
Oh yeah.
before the McKenna brothers like took their like big Amazon trip, is this guy Richard Schultz, I believe,
Hmm.
and I draw him in this book. He's another guy that the Watsons were in touch with. Where do I draw him? Oh yeah, here he
What
is
is
down
it?
here. That's supposed to be Richard Schultz down there.
Oh, cool.
Dr. Richard Evans Schultz. I was totally right on that. Yeah, that's supposed to be him
Wow.
down there. Which
Gotcha.
he's got some really fascinating books
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's what I love about your books, man. It really cracks open a world of like a rabbit hole to go down researching.
Yeah, I mean, and what's nice too is so I'm gonna shout out Arrowwood.com. You into Arrowwood?
Heroin?
Arrowwood.com, not heroin. Arrowwood. I'd like to shout out heroin. Hell no, absolutely not. Arrowwood.com, EROWID, or arrow.org maybe. I think it's .org. I'm off. I'm on my rocker.
Okay.
My rocker. Either way, arrowwood.org. They have PDFs of tons of stuff. It's like a drug library. You can go in. They have trip
Mm,
reports, blah blah blah. But really, for me, a lot of like the more rare materials I was able to find via PDF from them.
cool.
Because the Watson book I did during COVID, and all the like, like the Morgan Museum here in New York City has copies of their works. But guess what? They weren't going to let me go in there during COVID, so I was completely screwed. But
Mm.
Arrowwood.com, it might be Arrowwood.org. Let me look it up real fast before I shout this out over and over again.
Yeah.
Or at least get the fact checkers saying Arrowwood. I always just call it Arrowwood. Arrowwood.org. There we go. Not .com. Arrowwood.org. So
And that'll
yeah,
be
it's a
in the
great.
description as well.
Okay, shout out Arrowwood.org.
Yeah.
They call that bicycle day cute and silly, which like that I loved. Yeah, that was like that's gonna go on my tombstone just because I love Arrowwood.org, and I think it's a great website. And
Man.
Maps is great too. Shout out Doblin, who wrote the foreword for this. Maps is a great organization.
Hmm.
Hefter Research, that's McKenna's organization. There's a lot of great stuff to look into and learn about. I don't know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wanted to share with you. I'm actually from this part of, well, I grew up a lot of years in this part of Mexico, called Cuernavaca. You
Oh,
probably can see
wow.
it.
Oh, so Mazatecs, they're down a little bit south and over a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I feel so like so synchronicity, I want to go back there and do some research.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So they have a statue of her in the town.
Oh
I don't remember
yeah?
what the town is called. Yeah, they have a statue of Maria in the town.
Yeah.
Um, and because they kind of embraced it as like a bit of a tourist thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it's cool because in a lot of those tours they also like you can take mushrooms and stuff like that.
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's they've kind of embraced that aspect of it a little bit.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't remember. Oh, Huatla. Yeah, I write about it in the back. Huautla, then DE, and then JIME with a little dash, NEZ. I cannot say that. Hualata de. I'm not even gonna try. Not gonna try.
Huautla de Jimenez.
There you go. See, you said it. You said it nice. You said it
That's
nice.
that mushroom
I
language, man.
Yeah, for sure. I got nothing. I cannot speak Spanish to save my life.
Oh
I
my
can't roll
goodness.
my R. I can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just wanted to share one last thing. I actually was able to get all of these books from the Austin Public Library.
Oh, wow, that's great. If
So,
you want to
yeah.
buy them in the Austin area, I have to shout out my friend Joe, who is the manager at Austin Books Comics. Joe
Cool.
is the man, and it's a great,
Cool.
great bookstore. It might be one of the best, like,
No
it's the
way.
best, like, comics bookstore that's, like, in between, like, so Desert Island Comics here in Brooklyn. That's my favorite comics book store ever.
Mm,
But this place is really really up there, and they're interesting because
nice.
they have everything. They have a extreme range of like old weird vintage stuff and like newer stuff and everything in between. It's really really phenomenal. So I got to shout out
Nice.
Joe at Austin Books Comics, and Joe is the man. Shout out Joe. Joe rules.
Dude, I'm gonna check that out. But one thing that you do have to watch out with these library books, man, is that Easter egg, bro.
Oh yeah, it's a real booklet.
Hey, you could.
But see, the goal there is you could pass it, you could give it to a friend and load it up if you wanted to. I've had people write me and be like, "So what happens when I lick it?" I'm like, and I tried to make it every one of these books. I'm not going to ruin the gag, but every one of these books is a little like one of those at the end. I mean, they're not as
Right.
perfect as Lick the Spot, but I kept that one going.
Yeah, but seeing it at a library is like, they could just put it back, you know what I'm saying? Like they could like
Yeah,
just
true.
turn it in.
Well, if you want to buy your own copy in Austin, Austin Books Comics has them, and I signed a bunch of them.
Oh,
So there's
sick.
signed copies there. I was just there,
Oh,
and I had
nice.
a great time. Like I said,
Yeah.
I went to the botanical gardens,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I do want to shout out my crew, Pedro and his lovely girlfriend, which I can't believe I'm forgetting her name.
Dude, I'm
Starts with
gonna
an
go.
M. You gotta go.
I'll ask for them.
Yeah, you should. I mean, yeah, they gave me a couple passes, and I passed them out. I took a lift there, and the lift driver was like, "I've never been to the botanical gardens." I was like, "Guess what? Now you can
Yeah.
go." They gave me a pass.
Yeah.
You can have it
Oh, that's
because I
sick.
didn't even have to use it because they were right there.
Yeah, that's sick. Well, Brian, thank you so much for your time, man. Uh,
Thank you, Eric, for sure. This was fun.
yeah, yeah, man. Thank you so much. I love your art. Is there anything that you want to plug or anything?
Now, I guess just that these books are still, you can buy them from Anthology Editions. That's the best place to buy them from. They've got I think they still have some random stuff that I did, but yeah, all these books are available now through Anthology Editions as a publisher. And yeah, this is it. I have shirts from time to time
Yes.
on my website. That's a really rough and tumble website.
Yeah, it's
Is my
cool.
name. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
It's cool. I love your shirts, man. Your shirts are so sick.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I got a new one at the Silk Schooners now. I guess because this probably isn't gonna. I don't know how fast do these come out.
Oh, these probably in a week.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's not gonna be out in a week, but it's coming out soon. It's the new idea for the next one is quilted seashell, and it's
Ooh.
yeah, it's quilt patterns, and I got really into quilt patterns,
Nice.
which
Nice.
and a big shell. I don't know why. I don't know how these things got combined in my mind, but yeah, something about like quilted seashells on the seashore. Trying to say that. So this is my take on that. I learned all
Nice.
about quilt patterns. Turns out there's a quilt in Vermont they pull out once every year for only a month, and it was from the 1800s. And this woman was bedridden for 6 months, and at the time they only knew 86 quilt patterns, and she doubled it to 100, even more than doubled it. She made it 188. So this
Oh,
quilt
wow.
shows every quilt pattern that she invented, plus the originals, and quilters from all over the world come to see it, and I turned that quilt pattern into a sea turtle's back.
Mm.
So I learned all about these quilt patterns.
Man, I think that's the true psychedelic quilting.
It's quilting. There's a lot to be known. Every like a lot of these shirts I try to like learn about like a topic.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but some of them. It's like when you learn about a topic like this, you learn so much, and you can add that into your like general practice. Like learning all the quilt patterns like taught me like all these like different like patterns that I can use, or like different like geometric shapes that I can throw into things, and also just like learning, and you get taught things from all sorts of unexpected places. So that's how I try to treat my books. That's how I try to treat everything I
Mm.
do. So
Yeah, like a
you know,
natural curiosity instead of trying to like
or
force
just
learn it.
yeah, 100%, or just like it like informs the work and makes the work fun when it's a game
Yeah.
where you learn all about it, and then I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like it's a constant thing where you learn until you're dead, and then you don't get to learn
Yeah.
anymore. Maybe you learn more stuff. I don't know. The Book of
Right.
the Dead would say otherwise.
Yeah, I was gonna say you recently did a shirt that had like the samsara wheel of
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I watched all these. That's how I kind of knew about this Book of the Dead thing. Is I
oh
watched all these
cool.
docs on Tibet recently, and I don't know why I was in a
Cool.
Tibet hole. And there's a great
Yeah.
one that has who's the guy that did Hallelujah? He's a Canadian folk singer.
Oh man.
Either way, he's the narrator of this doc from the 70s. It's all about the Book of the Dead, and it's phenomenal. It's really, really great.
Nice.
Yeah, if you know that guy's name, Hallelujah, the original singer, you can find this doc. What the fuck is that guy's name? Yeah, he's buried in Montreal. Whatever.
He has a nice voice.
That's how these podcasts go for me. It's just like, what's that guy's name? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. If there's people also that's every time I listen to a podcast, I'm always like, if there's something like this and I know the answer, I'm yelling it in the background. I'm like, da, da, da. Like, please just tell me. Or if someone's entirely wrong on something, I'm like, mm-mm. And that's exactly like whenever I'm on the spot on one of these, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
anything. I can't remember a single thing. I'm staring down the bullet of I have no idea all the time. So that's it. That's my life. That's the story I got for you.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Brian.
Thank you, Eric. It's great to meet you. Next time,
Yeah.
what did you have for dinner? Let's tie it all in. They call it bookcasing. When you tie the whole thing together, it's called a callback. What did you have for dinner that made it to when you only had a banana for breakfast?
Wait,
Tell
wait,
me.
wait. You want to
What
know
did you
what?
have? I want to
Oh,
know what
last
you
night?
had for dinner last night to where you
I
only had a
gotcha.
banana and coffee for breakfast. I want
I
to
gotcha.
bookend this perfectly because that's the way my life works. I
I
like
gotcha.
to complete everything.
I got you. So I had, and I wasn't even that hungry, I like, have a snacking,
You weren't
but
that hungry last night
yeah,
either.
last night when
What are
I
you
had,
snacking on that makes you not hungry at night and not hungry in the day? What's happening there, Eric? What's going
man,
on?
I had like some like salmon for lunch that was like really good. And then for dinner, because I was
Salmon. Hold
just
on, hold on, hold on. Did you
sure,
bake the
sure.
salmon? Did you grill the salmon? What kind of salmon are we
It
talking? Did you get
was
it from a place?
I got it from like a grocery store in a packaged meal. I just microwaved it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I just, one of those like quick make.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I love salmon. I had salmon last night too, actually.
Oh, no way.
I love to grill it, but my wife always prefers it baked.
Mm.
She thinks it's less carcinogenic.
Oh,
And apparently I can grill it again soon. Blah blah blah. Keep going.
gotcha. Cool. Okay. And so last night I was like, I was trying to, I was, I was trying to
uh,
like to go through all the books, man, because I was so slow. Like I know they're supposed to be like, like fast reads, but I couldn't. I was just like, writing down notes and stuff, and I was also trying to eat this carnitas burrito that I got.
Damn, you say it so great. So you had carnitas burrito for dinner.
Yeah, and it was pretty big.
Damn, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas, amazing, amazing Mexican food. Very, very good.
True,
Very good.
true.
Very
And
good.
yeah, and barbecue.
Yeah, that's what they do out there. That's what they do. Damn. Yeah, so you've been on now you're in the Brian's Bogus breakfast hot seat. Like I just hit you with like what's happening for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, man? What did you have for dinner, or what are your plans for dinner, maybe?
Dinner, I have no idea. But last night I had my wife made salmon. We had salmon, potatoes,
Nice.
one big baked potato, and then
Nice.
she did broccoli in the steamer, and it was really good. And she does this great like ginger mustard kind of sauce is
Ooh.
how we always do it. And
Yeah.
baked salmon is good. I love it grilled though. Because a
Yeah.
grill is so nice. I got a whole salmon grilling style where you get the grill as hot as possible, and then it's all about the timer. Like the second you put it on, you've already started the timer. Like,
Okay.
and it has to be depending on how big it is, around six on the with the skin down. Six
Hmm.
with the skin down. over 400 degrees, you know, six with the
Okay.
skin down, and then you flip it and you do the
Mm,
fleshy side for under 2 minutes. And it has to be like exactly right. And then it always comes out really good. And you know it's done when you can free it easily from the thing.
any salt and pepper you put on that?
We do this like mustard kind of sauce
Oh,
for
I
the thing.
see. Like a
So it's like
marinade.
we do a mustard marinade where it's like salt, pepper, mustard, ginger. Always use
Right.
ginger.
Yeah.
Soy sauce, of course. We get a nice soy. We have this really amazing Japanese spot that makes their own soy. We can get the soy sauce from. They like distribute to this market up the way, and it's really
Nice.
amazing. They make their own soy. Yeah, they make their own soy sauce,
Nice.
and it's great. So we use that.
Nice.
There
Cool.
you go. That's what I got. Brian's Bogus
Awesome.
Breakfast continues
Yeah.
on Eric's Psychedelic Breakfast.
Yes, it's all psychedelic.
The Brian's bookshelf. I just had to know, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love putting the host in the hot seat at the very end.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
No problem.
Yeah,
All
it's been
right.
great having you, man. Hopefully
Good
we
to
can do
see you
this again
too.
sometime.
Hit me up anytime.
Thanks, man. And
All right.
hopefully you come to Austin soon, man. Would love to
I
have
already
you.
did, but I'll come back.
Cool.
I got to come back and see my friend Joe. Joe's the man.
Gotcha.
Joe, Joe might be one of my best friends. I love Joe. I hope Joe listens to this
Cool.
and knows that Joe is the man.
I'm gonna go say
And
what's up.
and so is Pedro and his damn girlfriend. Which, god dang, where the hell is Pedro? Pedro, what is her name? She ruled so hard. I'm gonna have you put it in the description.
I got you. I'll go do some
All right,
research.
cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, brother. Well,
All right,
Hare Krishna.
thank you. I'll see you later.
See ya.